I canceled my girlfriend's stay at a luxury resort that I paid for after she used my tickets to go with her friends instead of me at that moment. I couldn't breathe. The pain, the shock, and the betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. I had just poured my heart and soul into planning a trip that was meant to be a celebration of our love, a new chapter in our lives. And there she was, casually spending it with strangers. My mind raced, my heart pounding in my chest, trying to process what I was reading. Reschedule? She had the nerve to say reschedule? I had gone above and beyond to make everything perfect, and now she was telling me it didn't matter? The words from her message felt like a slap to my face. I sat there staring at my phone, still hoping that maybe, just maybe, there was some kind of misunderstanding. But as the minutes dragged on, reality set in. There was no mistake. She was having the time of her life, while I was sitting here alone, heartbroken and utterly confused. Revelation after revelation as the evening passed. I couldn't stop thinking about everything. What had gone wrong? What was I missing? For 4 years, I thought we were happy, that we had built something special. How could Anna betray me like this? I kept replaying everything in my mind. I thought back to how she had been acting so strangely in the days leading up to the trip. She'd brushed me off when I tried to talk to her about it, acting like she was too busy with work to really focus on anything. But now it all made sense. She had been preparing for this trip with someone else, someone who wasn't me, and I was just too blind to see it. The next day, I couldn't shake the pit in my stomach. I needed answers, but part of me was afraid to hear them. I called her again. This time, she answered. Hey, Anna said with a tone that didn't match the severity of the situation. She sounded calm, too calm for someone who had just shattered my world. I didn't think it was a big deal, babe. A big deal? She had just thrown away everything we had worked for. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Anna, how could you do this to me? I've been planning this trip for months. I was going to propose. I gave everything to make this special for us. And you go off with your friends? My voice cracked as I spoke, the hurt bleeding through my words. There was a long pause before she spoke again, and when she did, it wasn't an apology. Instead, she offered a cold explanation. I just needed space. I didn't think you'd mind. It's not like we were getting married tomorrow. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Needed space? I repeated. You needed space from me on the trip we planned together? Yeah, she said, almost dismissively. I just didn't want to deal with all the pressure. I'm not ready for that kind of commitment right now. The deeper betrayal, the words stung. But what hurt more than her actions was the realization that I had been so completely blind to her true feelings. All those months of me thinking that everything was perfect, that we were on the same page, it had all been a lie. I was no longer her priority. I wasn't even close. And she hadn't even had the decency to tell me the truth before we got on that plane. Instead, I was left in the dark, blindsided by a betrayal that I would never have seen coming. I hung up the phone, my hands trembling as I tried to process the conversation. I spent the next few hours trying to come to grips with the fact that I wasn't the man she wanted, that maybe I had never been the man she wanted. The fantasy of our perfect relationship crumbled in front of me, leaving me with nothing but the shattered remnants of what I thought we had. The confrontation the following day, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed closure. I needed to look her in the eyes and ask her why. I booked a flight to the resort, hoping to catch her before she left. The entire flight was a blur of emotions. I didn't know whether I was angry, sad, or just plain confused. All I knew was that I needed answers. I needed to know what went wrong, what I missed, and what the future looked like for me without her in it. When I arrived, I immediately went to the resort. I found her at the pool, laughing and joking with her friends like nothing had happened. She hadn't even noticed me at first, and for a moment, I almost turned around and walked away. But I couldn't. I needed to hear her say it to tell me to my face why everything had fallen apart. I walked over to her, my heart pounding. She looked up, surprised but not necessarily remorseful. "Anna," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "we need to talk." She stood up, her expression shifting to one of discomfort. "I don't think now is the best time," she said, her voice soft, almost patronizing. "No, now is exactly the best time," I shot back. "I've been looking forward to this trip for months. You knew how important it was to me. And now I find out you're here with a bunch of strangers while I'm sitting alone at home?" She sighed, running her fingers through her hair. "I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought you'd understand. We've been together for years, and I just needed some time away from all the pressure." "Time away from what?" I asked, my voice rising. "From me? From our relationship? Because from where I'm standing, this feels like you've been distancing yourself from me for a while now." "What's going on, Anna? What changed?" She paused, her gaze shifting away from mine. I saw a flicker of guilt in her eyes, but it was fleeting. Then she spoke again, this time softer, but no more convincing. "I'm not ready for all this. I don't know if I'll ever be. I need space to figure things out. You were pushing me too hard, and I didn't know how to tell you." That's when it hit me. It wasn't just the trip. It was everything. Anna hadn't just let me down with the trip. She had been pulling away for months, and I hadn't seen it. I had ignored the signs, believing that everything was fine, because I wanted it to be fine. "I'm sorry," I said, feeling my voice crack, "but I can't keep doing this. I deserve more than someone who doesn't know if they want me." She didn't argue, didn't try to convince me to stay. Instead, she just nodded, almost as if she were relieved. The aftermath. I left the resort that day with a heavy heart. As I boarded my flight back, I couldn't help but feel like a fool. But deep down, I also knew that this was for the best. I had given everything to someone who didn't appreciate it. And while the pain of the betrayal was immense, it was also a wake-up call. I couldn't keep sacrificing my happiness for someone who wasn't willing to invest in the relationship. I was worth more than that. In the months that followed, I worked hard to rebuild my life. I focused on my career, my friends, and myself. I traveled, tried new things, and began to rediscover who I was outside of the relationship. It wasn't easy, and there were many days when I missed Anna, when I wondered if maybe I had done something wrong. But with time, I realized that what I had been through wasn't my fault. I wasn't perfect, but I had given my best. The lesson learned, looking back now, I can see that this experience taught me invaluable lessons about trust, respect, and self-worth. It made me realize that I deserve someone who chooses me every day, not someone who makes me feel like I'm not enough. I deserve a relationship where both people are equally invested, where both people are willing to communicate and work through challenges together. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes letting go is the best thing you can do for yourself. Even when it hurts, even when you don't understand why, letting go of someone who doesn't value you is the first step toward reclaiming your happiness and your peace. So, to anyone out there who is going through something similar, I want to say this. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of respect. Never settle for less than what you deserve. Trust yourself, and trust that when one door closes, another one opens. And when it does, make sure the person who walks through that door is someone who sees your worth and loves you for who you truly are. The excuses keep coming. I couldn't believe the audacity. There I was, standing in front of Anna, pressing her for answers. How could she do this? Who were the guys in the photos she sent me from the resort? Why would she take the tickets I bought for us, carefully planning the perfect getaway, and use them for a group of strangers? These weren't just questions. They were my heartache, my confusion, and my anger pouring out. Her replies only made things worse, each one more infuriating than the last. She claimed that the guys were just friends, people they met casually at the resort. But as she spoke, she accused me of overreacting, brushing off the issue like it was nothing. Then, she hit me with the real bombshell. She told me, flat out, that she didn't think I was fun enough to celebrate her birthday the way she wanted. I was stunned. According to Anna, she loved me, but for this special occasion, she wanted to be free, to do whatever she felt like, without being tied down by my boring plans. Boring. That's what she thought of everything I had worked for. A trip I had spent months planning, every detail meticulously arranged, every small effort made for her to make her happy. And she thought I was boring. My heart sank as I processed her words. This wasn't just about her birthday, it was about us. It wasn't supposed to be a me versus her thing. This trip was supposed to be a celebration of our relationship, a time to reconnect, a time for us to build memories. I had made sacrifices, time, money, effort, so that she could have the best birthday of her life. But to her, it wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. When I told her how deeply hurt I was, she became defensive, cold, dismissive. She said I was nagging her, that she didn't want to deal with my drama anymore. In one swift move, she cut me off. She said she was going to block me until the trip was over because she didn't want to deal with my negativity. The words stung like a slap in the face. Taking action, and that's when something inside me snapped. I had reached my limit. I was no longer going to let her walk all over me. This wasn't just a small mistake. This was a betrayal of trust. It was a complete lack of respect. She had taken advantage of my generosity, lied to me, and now she was trying to make me feel like the villain for calling her out. Enough was enough. I knew I had to do something. I wasn't going to let this slide. I wasn't going to sit back and let her keep treating me this way. I grabbed my phone and logged into the resort's booking system. I canceled the rest of our stay every single night, every excursion, every romantic dinner I had planned. Sure, I wouldn't get all my money back since she'd already stayed one night, but I managed to recover most of it. The money didn't matter as much as what I was doing. I was taking control back. Then, I called the airline and canceled her return flight. It wasn't out of spite. It was out of necessity. She needed to learn a lesson, and I needed to stand firm. When Anna found out, she completely lost it. She flooded my phone with angry texts, calling me petty, selfish, childish. She accused me of ruining her vacation, of being unreasonable. She threw a tantrum, and frankly, I didn't care. I had reached a point where I couldn't feel sorry for her anymore. Her tone changed, though, when she realized the full extent of what I had done. She was stranded. She had no way home. Suddenly, the apologies poured in. She said she had overreacted, that we could talk once she got home. But by then, I was done. There was nothing more to discuss. I wasn't going to nag her anymore, like she suggested. I blocked her. The aftermath the next few days felt like a blur. I was at peace, but it was a peace born from frustration and disappointment. From what I've heard, Anna is still at the resort, trying to figure out how to get home. She reached out to her parents for help, but from what I gather, they're upset with her too after hearing what she did. That was a small consolation, knowing that she had lost the support of her family, that they saw through her behavior, made me feel like I wasn't entirely alone in seeing the truth. But still, The betrayal hurt deeply. I had trusted Anna completely, invested so much of myself in our relationship, and had been ready to spend the rest of my life with her. She was my person. And yet, in one careless moment, she had revealed who she truly was. Someone who didn't respect me, didn't appreciate my efforts, and didn't care about our relationship. It was a hard pill to swallow. Looking back, it was clear that there had been red flags all along. Small signs, subtle things that I had brushed off. She often dismissed my feelings, belittled my personality, or made comments that chipped away at my confidence. I thought they were just little quirks, things that could be worked through, but now I realized they were symptoms of a much deeper problem. A problem I was too afraid to acknowledge at the time. Lessons learned. This whole experience has taught me some invaluable lessons. First and foremost, I've learned that love alone isn't enough. A relationship needs more than just feelings. It needs mutual respect, trust, and appreciation. Without those foundational elements, even the strongest love will crumble under the weight of neglect and misunderstanding. I wasn't just heartbroken by her actions. I was heartbroken because I had given everything for someone who wasn't willing to do the same for me. It also taught me the importance of standing up for myself. For far too long, I had put Anna's happiness above my own, trying to keep her happy at the expense of my own well-being. I bent over backward to make her feel special, to make her life easier, to make her feel valued. But in doing so, I neglected my own self-worth. I gave her everything, and she gave me excuses. Now, I'm focusing on myself. I'm taking this as an opportunity to grow, to reconnect with my own passions, to spend time with the people who truly care about me. I'm exploring hobbies I had long abandoned, like painting and writing. I'm considering solo travel, something I never thought I'd do, but now see as a chance for new experiences, freedom, and self-discovery. A message for others: if you're reading this and you find yourself in a similar situation, I want you to remember your worth. It's easy to overlook red flags, to make excuses for someone you love. It's easy to believe that love should be enough to overcome every obstacle, but it's not. True love doesn't come at the expense of your happiness or your self-respect. True love is built on trust, appreciation, and mutual respect. Anything less than that isn't worth sacrificing yourself. Walking away from a toxic situation is never easy. It's painful, especially when you've invested so much time, energy, and emotion into it. But sometimes, it's necessary for your own well-being. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who see your worth and remind you of it. People who want to see you succeed and thrive. This experience, though painful, has been a blessing in disguise. It's helped me see what I truly want and deserve in a relationship. I'm no longer settling for less than I deserve. And while I may have lost Anna, I've gained a better understanding of myself and what I need from a partner. I'm optimistic about the future. I know the right person is out there, someone who will cherish me for who I am and not take me for granted. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your support means the world to me.